We're getting a lot of questions about, is AI in a bubble? What do you think?
That is a great question. And as people are asking that question, they're comparing today's environment to the environment of 1999 and 2000. And so in today's episode, I think we should talk about what a bubble is and are there any differences?
My name is Josh Nahosa, and I am an independent advisor representative for SWAN at DFW, which stands for Sleep Well at Night Dallas-Fort Worth. And across from me is America's CFP. It is Hector Hinojosa, and he started SWAN at DFW in 2014, yeah. Which was 11 years ago. That's almost right. 12.
You're really good with numbers.
I am. It's almost like it's my job. His company is almost... Our company is almost at the age of puberty, I guess.
That's why we speak funny.
Yeah. And he's been doing this since the early 90s.
That's right, 1993.
Back when the Cowboys were good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We got to go to the last parade, at the Super Bowl parade the Cowboys had.
There you go. I didn't.
No, you didn't.
Because I wasn't born yet.
That's right.
Tough life. I live. So, we're talking about an AI bubble.
Yep.
I guess first, let's talk about what a bubble is.
Yeah, so when we look at a market, there's markets that are overbought, oversold. Oversold's a good time to buy. Overbought means a lot of people are buying the stuff, which is driving the prices up and probably not going to be able to maintain those pricing going further down the road. A bubble is that same overbought to an extreme. It's just way overvalued. And when those bubbles happen, when money starts to come out, everybody follows it. And so a bubble is just way too many people buying the same stock or the same set of stocks, and it's driving the price way further than what it really is worth.
Yeah, so I guess there's been a couple of bubbles in my lifetime. One of them I was old enough to kind of remember, and the one I'm going to ask you about, I was not. Let's talk about the housing bubble in 1999, 2000.
Yeah, that really wasn't...
the dot-com bubble.
Yeah, well, the housing bubble in 2007 is a good one because people read about that. And that was just people were buying homes they couldn't afford, and mortgages were being created in such a way. And so you had way, way too many people buying homes, and everybody thought it was going to go up 10% a year forever. And when that finally burst, when people started realizing that there was hundreds of homes that people had abandoned because they just couldn't pay the mortgage anymore, all of those really fancy mortgage-backed securities collapsed. And when that started collapsing, we had a lot of financial firms in there, and it was a really tricky time for the market as a whole. Different than what happened in 1999, 2000. We had a thing called the internet starting, and everybody kind of thought it was going to be cool, but nobody really knew what it was going to do. All of a sudden, we had this .com. Every company, not every company, but most companies, kind of like they're talking about AI today, were talking about how they were going to use the internet in the future. Some of them had really no idea what it was going to do. But then what started to happen is these new companies, what are called IPOs, initial public offerings, were coming to market, and they had no sales. They were like 6 months old, but they had .com at the end of their name. So it'd be like Josh and Hector Company.com. And because it had .com, everybody knew that it was just going to go up. Nobody really understood why, but everybody got on, decided that these were the companies that were going to be the future. And while some of them did survive, there was a little company called Amazon, I remember, and I said, a book company? Because that's how it started. I said, Barnes & Noble's a better book company. Amazon is just never going to make it. I'm very good at looking long term.
Yeah.
Sure wish I had bought that stock back then. But anyway, all these .com companies absorbed a lot of the new money that was coming in. And I mean, some of these companies had 20 or 30 employees and really didn't have any revenue. They had a great business plan, but they had no customers. They had nobody paying them for it. They had no way of making money. I remember somebody asked, well, how can you be investing in this company that has no revenue, has no earnings? And the guy defending the .com said, well, this is a new paradigm. Companies don't have to make money. And I thought, that's wrong.
Yeah.
But it took a lot of the money. And then when it started to unravel, people realized, hey, these companies aren't for real. It started, and you can see on the chart, it started what eventually over 2 or 3 years was a 40% decline in the market. Added to that a year later was 9/11. But the whole thing started with the .com bubble.
So
I have an interesting story.
what is that interesting story?
In 1999, I was working for a company called MetLife, and MetLife had part of the teacher retirement system for college professors is a thing called ORP, Optional Retirement Plan. And we had just got on the contract. I think there was like 6 providers. It's a really interesting concept. Anyway, they asked me to come and do a workshop for their professors and people that were eligible. And there was a lot of tech people in there. So this would have been around June of 99, maybe July, something like that. Mm-hmm. Right in the throes of the market that was making, 70% a year or something. And so I went in there and said, okay, here's what we think. You need to have a well-diversified portfolio. 30% of your portfolio should be in bonds, and you should value companies and, and then some growth companies. And people were like, questioning that, said, no, everything should be in technology. Man, it's technology is where it's at. And I said, no, we think as an old conservative company that you should have a diversified portfolio. And after about 2 or 3 things, I said, well, you guys going to boo me? Guess what?
They boo you?
They booed me. And that made me kind of feel bad. But a couple, 3 years later, they asked me to go back. And I said, should I bring it up? Are those people that booed me going to be in there? Because everybody had lost 30, 40% of the guy who was putting it together said, probably not. So we know what happened. We don't. Yeah. So anyway.
So power of a well-diversified portfolio.
Well-diversified portfolio.
Let's go back.
Okay.
Pre-getting booed.
Okay.
So to summarize, everybody just overbought companies that weren't making money.
That's right.
I suppose the difference today is a lot of the AI leaders are companies that do make money. We're looking at companies that make chips, maybe like an NVIDIA or an AMD, or like Google or Meta or other companies that are in the AI space already have a solid business plan and model that is making them money.
Right. And we want to remind people this is not an actionable thing. We're just kind of giving kind of an insight. Don't go and buy these companies. We're going to use these companies so they would make more sense. But this is not actionable. Make sure you talk to your financial planner. If you don't have one, give us a call. But yeah, one of the major differences.
Go ahead.
One of the major differences is that, the companies that are leading this chart today have a history, have great leadership, have great balance sheets, employ thousands of employees, and are profitable. And were profitable before they came down this track. And now this AI thing is just something that they've added or embraced, like NVIDIA, and now are the leaders in that industry. So it's not a pipe dream. These are things that are actually happening. And so that's the first kind of, that and the earnings. Again, these companies are very, very profitable. But there's a couple of other things that are different now than they were before.
Yeah, I think one of the things people would look at is the administration is cutting regulations left and right. And so I think that helps businesses in a lot of ways, but especially in something as new as AI.
That's right. Regulatory stuff back in the .com, people were trying to figure out how to slow it down. And here, it looks like the administration has embraced it. So that's a huge difference, not related to particular companies, but just the environment.
Yeah. What else? What else is different?
The Fed back then was raising rates, and you never want to fight the Fed. When the Fed is raising rates, the money that's available for investment sometimes goes to bonds. Today, the Fed is in the mood of cutting rates, and that's a huge deal because when rates get cut, bonds are not as what's the word I'm looking for? They just don't seem to have the value that
They don't keep the value.
Yeah. If somebody can get a 5% return with no risk, that's pretty good. But when you drop that to 4 or 3.5, now they're looking for a way to get more money, and they come to stocks because bonds ain't going to do that. Well, the Fed is in the mood for cutting, and that makes a good backdrop for increasing stock prices. And probably the last thing we want to talk about as the differences is that if you look at the valuations on a go-forward basis for these companies, especially what are called the Magnificent Seven companies, and you adjust for what their sales are going to be in 26 and 27, they're not outrageous. Back in the 2000, there were 1,000 times price. In other words, if you had a stock that was worth $1, it was selling for $1,000. That's not true here. The valuations seem to be reasonable for growth companies. And so for those reasons and more, I think that while there are a lot of similarities in the bubble analogy, things are different today than they were in 1999, 2000. And the world isn't going to end at the end of this year. Like in 1999, we thought this is it. When the clock moves to 2000, all the computers all around the world are going to shut down. And we're not going to have life as we know it.
Yeah. If you would like to talk to us about any of the things you heard on this podcast, or you're looking for a financial advisor or help with your retirement planning or any other financial things that are related to planning,
About instead of things, about other financial questions you may have.
Yeah, that. We have a couple of different ways that you can contact us. The first way is via phone number, and that is 888-792-6339 or 888-SWAN-DFW.
That's brilliant.
I know. And then we have an email address, and that is info@swandfw.net. It's free to call, free to email. We're not trying to have a gotcha moment. We just want to help you out.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. So
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. And you're going to hear this before Christmas. So Merry Christmas. Hope you're having a great Christmas season.
Yeah. So we'll catch you all in the next one. The preceding content is informational only and based on information available when created. It is not an offer or solicitation, nor is it tax or legal advice. It does not consider your financial circumstances and objectives and may not be suitable for you.